Hello, how is it going? This is Janera Washington here, your lead instructor, CEO of Cortex Solutions, and today we're going to be talking about Authentication and Authorization brought to you by ACSMI. Well, let's get right into it. So like we talked about before, Authentication and Authorization, there's a difference there, right? But we have to understand that when it comes to authentication, we are just verifying. We're just verifying that the identity of the user is sound, of the device is sound. Authorization, this is a little bit different, right? Where we're determining, based on the permissions and the actions, we're going to give this person this amount of power, right? What are they allowed to do? But if you put it together, you now have data integrity, the support of that. You now have user transparency, and then the ability to mitigate unauthorized access because, well, we know this person is who they say they are. The differences, though, between the two. An example, because we already talked about this, I'll just focus on the examples. Logging into your email for authentication purposes requires that information, that credentials, right? The methods you can use is passwords, biometrics, MFA, tokens, all these different things, even key fobs, right? There are different types of authentication. There's knowledge-based, something you know, possession-based, something you have, biometric, something you are, and then you have something that's adaptive authentication, where that's context aware. As far as like analyzing the user habits, like typing speed, if we're typing really fast, I know this person because they typed this amount of words this many minutes. Now, the techniques for robust identity verification. Think about multi-factor authentication, right? Passwordless authentication, because now that's a thing as well too, where you can log in using your fingerprint for authentication purposes. Even behavioral analytics, right? A way to track the patterns. I talked about the timing, but you can do logging, timing as well. The ability to have device usage and understanding that, hey, we want to deny user access if someone is using this account from multiple geographic places, like we talked about earlier, right? You don't want to have some person in Boston and the same person in Russia logging in at the same time. That's a little bit weird and suspicious. You want to look more into that. Some mechanisms for authorization, think about role-based, attribute-based, and then policy-based too. And these are all ways that you can help an organization define and actually enforce permissions at hand, right? If we're looking at role-based, we want to restrict access based upon the role. If you're looking at attributes, think about the time and the location. I like to think about it as this. You have the whole cat and then like attributes of the cat. It's orange. It has claws. That's attributes. And then policy based is like, okay, well, I need to make something that's like real time, right? Deny access if the device is outdated as far as like the antivirus, or it does not have most up-to-date policies in place. Sort of like that. Single sign-on identity federation. We already talked about this, but the main idea here is just to improve usability and security, ensuring that users can access multiple systems based on one login. The trust aspect of zero trust is saying, well, we're going to trust, right, but verify. But there's a difference with the security models, though. I'll kind of break it down a little bit. So zero trust here is going to eliminate the assumption that, hey, we need to trust whoever's in our system. But you can put into place an actual security model where we're basically stating that every user, every system, every device is a potential threat. That is the basis of zero trust. And utilizing IAM, but in a way where we can understand that authentication and authorization are kind of it's not one and the same, but you're using this to help with compliance. The industry-specific regulations that HIPAA guidelines or FISMA guidelines or GDPR guidelines may have is going to be dependent upon what type of system you're utilizing, right? What type of understanding you may have of how can you integrate everything into one. Now, security challenges and best practices. The challenge here is credential theft still remains one of those leading causes of breaches. You can use credential stuffing. You can use social engineering. But the solution is combining MFA with anomaly detection. If this user is doing something weird, you want to be able to be alerted of that. This is weird ways that it's being utilized. This credentials is being utilized, through multiple systems at the same time. Or another challenge is over-permissioning leads to abuse or accidental leaks. What does that mean? Well, you want to follow the use of least privilege, only giving the right amount of permissions to get the job done, not overdoing it. A real world example could be securing banking transactions with multi-factor authentication, right? The application itself, it enhances the security of online banking systems by using MFA. We're verifying the user identity and then some by providing a one-time password, by providing the ability to say, okay, here's my username, here's my password, but also I'm going to send a code, 6-digit code to your phone. Or I'm going to use a fingerprint or facial recognition. But again, it's been great. Gennaro here, CEO of Koitech Solutions. This is your lead instructor. And you've been also talking with me today about the use cases of identity and access management, or the use of authorization and authentication, and how it all is kind of mapped into one. Because if you have the IAM tool and you're utilizing authorization and authentication, like we talked about in like previous slides, you're able to understand, well, okay, all I really need to do is just ensure that the user is who they say they are and that they have access to only the things they're supposed to have access to. It's been great. This has been brought to you by ACSMI. Take care. Have a great day.